The sun is hot, birds fly free. Ingmar Bergman makes movies about failed marriages and adultery.
Du vet, krek.
A Lesson in Love is another entry in Bergman's saga of marital woes, but it does mark some key distinctions. Most obviously, the film is much more openly comedic than any of Bergman's previous movies, with a very witty screenplay and even some hints at slapstick. But what's perhaps most striking about A Lesson in Love is it marks the first time Bergman really explored fatherhood and the consequences of adultery on children. Bergman's relationship with his own father was famously fraught, and we can even see echoes of this in the authoritarian father of A Ship to India. But A Lesson in Love shifts the perspective, from a child hurt by their father to a father who hurts his children. The film focuses on gynecologist David's efforts to win back his wife Marianne, while flashbacks reveal David's affair that broke up their marriage. That's the story anyway, but it's telling that the catalyst for David's efforts is not a renewed love for Marianne, but rather guilt over the ways he's hurt his children. As photos of his children fall from his book, David is overcome by memories of Nix, his teenage daughter. These flashbacks show David as a truly attentive and caring father, but also how the looming fear of divorce is tormenting Nix. Through angry tears and deep frustration, Nix bemoans that she and her family mean nothing to her father. David is clearly hurt by this, and though the flashback ends on a moment of reconciliation between the two, it's clear that David is plagued with guilt. This guilt pervades through the film. First, in David's efforts to win back Marianne. Though David is generally flirtatious and quite jovial, he becomes very defensive when Marianne suggests he isn't a caring father.
Jag tänker bara, tänk om ungarna får se oss.
Ja, jag vet att barnen har stått emellan oss många gånger.
Tvärtom.
Jo. De har ju tagit din älskarinna ifrån dig.
Marianne, nu är du oanständig. Jag vill ha ett hem med dig och ungarna.
Though he may view sex and romance carelessly, David takes his role as a father very seriously. This guilt is also reflected in the structure of the flashbacks and how they frame David's affair. While previous Bergman films had presented summer romance as a temporary idyllic paradise, A Lesson in Love skips from the moment of seduction to the end of the affair, with both parties largely drained and bored of each other. For David, there is no joy in adultery. There's only guilt. Such themes were highly personal for Bergman, whose love affairs by this point had evolved into a complex web of fragmented adults and hurt children. By the time of the film's release in 1954, Bergman was on his third marriage with 6 children between them and deep in an affair with Harriet Anderson.
Du vet, krek.
But A Lesson in Love does have a happy ending. David, having already ended his affair, returns to Marianne. The two fall back in love, restore their family unit, and in the moments of their marital bliss, are even visited by Cupid. And in its excess, it becomes clear that this ending is nothing more than wishful thinking. Imogen Sarah Smith sees this ending as parody, but I see it as more of a jovial fantasy. Bergman knows this ending is ludicrous, both for David and Marianne, and for his own pattern of adultery and broken marriages. But that doesn't mean he isn't willing to indulge in the fantasy. Well, at least Bergman had a sense of humor about it. And that marks the end of Season 2. Throughout this season, we've seen Bergman enrich the quality of his storytelling, pay tribute to his mentor, and self-critically reflect on both the medium of film itself and his own life. And when we next meet, Bergman's cinema will be visited by a very special guest.
Vem är du?
Jag är döden.
Mm.